Next interaction is competition. So when we talk about competition, both the species are harmed in that. So competition occurs when closely related species compete for the same resource they are limiting. Means the same resource which is present and they are fighting for that, so that creates the competition between two species. Totally unrelated species could also compete for the same resource, yes, because if it's a common resource, so two species, different species, they can also compete. In some shallow South American lakes, visiting flamingos and resident fishes compete for their common food, the zooplankton. So this is an example that zooplankton is the common resource, but the two different species are fighting for that. What are those? One is the South American flamingos which are there, and the resident fishes which are there. So they are fighting for the zooplankton. Resources always need not be limiting for competition to occur. The feeding efficiency of one species might be reduced due to the interfering and inhibiting presence of the other species, even if resources are abundant. So there is not always a case that the resources will be limited. There can be a case when, due to this hard competition, due to inhibition, due to this fighting process, one species which is there, it cannot get proper food. It is not able to get the proper food due to the inhibition of other one. So the resources are fulfilled, like complete resources are there, but still they do not get the food. Why? Because of this inhibiting property of the other species. Example, the Abingdon tortoise in Galapagos Island became extinct within a decade after goats were introduced on the island, apparently due to the greater browsing efficiency of the goats. So there was a competition, the grass was enough, complete plants were there, but still due to better grazing capacities of the goats, the tortoise was extinct. So the next thing is competitive release. What it is? A species whose distribution is restricted to a small geographical area because of a presence of competitively superior species is found to expand its distributional range dramatically when the competing species is experimentally removed. So there is one species which is very small, confined to a very small space. Why? Because there is a big species and in larger areas it has been expanded to. But if somehow that species which is larger in number, it has been removed, then we can see this species which was earlier very small, confined to a small space, it is just expanding itself. So this is competitive release. That if we are releasing one competition, if we are releasing one species away from the competition, then the another one expands itself. It gets all the resources and it gets expanded. Example, the larger and competitively superior barnacle, Ballus, dominates the intertidal area and excludes the smaller barnacle from that zone. So one competition has been removed. So what happens? Competition has been removed, so the other species can grow as long as it wants. Competition is best defined as the process in which the fitness of one species, measured in terms of the intrinsic rate, is significantly lower in presence of other species. So when we say competition, we are checking upon the fitness of the two species. Which one is having a greater fitness, it will rise. That is this competition. Gauss exclusive principle. Now this is a principle, this is a theory which was given by Gauss, and this was given for the competition type of interaction. Two closely related species competing for the same resource cannot coexist indefinitely, and the competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. So this principle was saying that when two individuals or two different species which are fighting for one resource, they are placed at one place. So they cannot live for very long over there. Why? Because when there is competition, the one species, it is going to throw out the other one. It is going to eliminate the other one. So this is competition. Now, one term is there, that is resource partitioning. What is that? If two species compete for the same resource, they could avoid competition by choosing. So this could be a option which they can take, that if we both want same resource, we can just divide it, we can just choose the food, and then we can go ahead with that. So that this is the way they can avoid competition. Different times for feeding or different foraging patterns. So they can determine, this is my feeding pattern, this is your feeding pattern, this is your time zone, this is my time zone. So deciding that, they can avoid competition. Example, 5 closely related species of the warbler could live on the same tree and were able to avoid competition and coexist due to behavioral differences in the foraging pattern. So they have different foraging patterns. They were dependent upon one food resource, but still they had different foraging patterns. So because of that, they were able to survive together.